Hey everybody, how's it going? Alright, so I think I'm gonna make me a quick old video on my experience with Western Express. I didn't get a chance to drive with them, but I did go out to their orientation, and unfortunately I didn't finish through it. Now, it's not because I failed the backing test or whatever test it was they had. I did really good on my road test. It's just I had too much protein in my urine, which is weird because, you know, never heard of that stopping you from passing a physical at the DOT. I mean, I was fine with my heart condition, but they were not fine with the fact that I had too much protein in my urine. Well, anyways, besides the point. So I went through the orientation, did the safety classes, learned the way they did their stuff, took my road test, like I said earlier, which was basically out one end of the terminal and then back in on the other end and drive up to a stop. Easy as that. But anyways, like I was saying, so in order to get out there, I spent roughly about $85 on a rental car out of my own pocket, mind you. Rented a car out in Arizona, drove to California, and from there, dropped the car off at the hotel. But before I did that, I had to fill the car back up, full tank of gas. California's gas is, yeah, it's something else. Don't miss living in California whatsoever. But anyways, spent about $35 on a full tank of gas, and from there, dropped the car off and caught a lift down to the hotel, which the hotel was one of those hotels that they have at a lot of trucking companies. Basically 2 people per room. The roommate I had was alright. He was waiting on something to get done from medical or something. I don't remember off the top of my head, honestly. But anyways, like I was saying, I had a roommate, all that stuff. Training was going good. It was kind of boring because I've already been in trucking before, and unfortunately Western Express is one of those companies where you, as a driver, if you're new as a driver, they're perfect to start off with, because they'll basically take anybody. I mean, they'll take felons, they'll take people who have pretty bad accidents from what I've been told. As long as you don't have like hit and runs or really severe things on your record, then you're fine. They'll still take you. And if you're new, fresh out of CDL school, like I said, they'll take you as well. So it was basically kind of shaped around people being brand new, never being in a truck, never driving, none of that. So it's kind of boring, but I understood you gotta learn somehow, which I did the same thing when I started off. And what was I gonna say? Oh yeah, so did that for a few days, and they promised me that I was going to be running, I think, the Western 11. I don't exactly remember off the top of my head because I'm terrible at remembering stuff, but I was basically going to go from Arizona to California, New Mexico, Colorado, Utah, Nevada, all that stuff. And I was going to be doing flatbed, which now I look back at it, I don't know how the hell I would have been able to do that, because, I mean, yeah. Anyways, so from there, with all that, once was said and done, well, once I was dealing with trying to get my old company to release my DAC report, or not release it, but to update my DAC, basically saying, hey, he's actually been driving from X day or X month to Y month. where instead it showed that I only had 2 months of driving, which is not true because I got my CDL February 19th of 2020, and I basically started driving for Warner, or training with Warner, driving, doing all that in March. So I'd been driving from March until July when all this went down. So obviously I've been driving for a while. I'm not saying I'm an expert, obviously, but I have more than 2 months of experience under my belt. Well, they were screwing around with that. They said that if worse comes to worse, they'd put me in a truck with a trainer, which I have no issue with that. I'm, again, not saying I'm perfect. I could always learn new things, but my thought on it was I didn't want to take a trainer away from someone who actually needed a trainer. Someone who's never been in a truck. Someone who's never driven. Someone who's never backed up. Someone who's never done any of that out in the real world outside of schooling. So that was my thing. And they said the same thing. So they agreed, but unfortunately rules are rules, which neither here nor there. I was whatever. Well, I thought, okay, so my biggest obstacle is I'm going to have to worry about my DAC report being updated. Then, from there, because I didn't bring my 5 long forms, I'd forgotten them back in Arizona. They was like, okay, that's whatever. We'll just go and have you do a DOT physical. Okay, drug screen, whiz quiz, all that. Obviously, I passed the drug screening because I'm not going to screw up my career doing that stuff. Did the hair follicle, or no, I didn't do a hair follicle test. I'm sorry, never did that. But I did the urine in a cup thing, and they tested it. Now, I thought they were testing it for drugs. I thought that was the drug test. But they were testing it for drugs and other things, and then that's when the high protein. So they're like, okay, heads up, this is what's going on. I was like, oh crap, okay, so went online, talked to a couple of the other guys that were there with me in training, and they all said, yeah, best thing to do is to get a cleanser, like I think it was cranberry juice is what I did. So I went down to the Food for Less right near the hotel, and I got a jug of cranberry juice, and I basically just, every time I was thirsty, boom, chug of cranberry juice, there, bit of cranberry juice. And just to make sure that I didn't, because they said that if I did too much, I could get sick, so I kind of offset it with water. Had, half a gallon of water, half a gallon of cranberry juice, back and forth, back and forth. I mean, I was pissing like crazy. If I had a nickel for every time I went to the bathroom, I would never have needed to work the rest of the day of my life. But anyways, it's besides the point. Well, I went to do the whiz quiz again. After I did the cleansing, I didn't eat much. I mean, I did eat a thing of ramen, so, I mean, yeah, I guess that's not good, but still, I needed to eat. I'm fat, unfortunately. I mean, I didn't get the sexy physique on salads. But anyways, besides the point. So I'm thinking, okay, yeah, I'm either gonna pass it, or, I'm gonna pass it barely, or I'm still gonna have protein in my urine, and they're gonna be like, okay, whatever, third time's the charm. No, that ain't it. That's not how that worked. They basically said, hey, you failed the, what's it called? You failed the test again, you had too much protein. So I was like, oh crap, whatever. They're like, well, you know what we're gonna do? I also forgot to mention a little earlier about what my heart thing. The doctor that was doing the DOT physical said he wanted the letter that I got earlier in the year to work with Warner, releasing me saying that I'm cleared to drive a truck. I know I'm kind of back pacing on that, but that's what's happened. Anyways, so I got the letter, printed it out, they put it on top, kind of as a, hey, heads up, he's doing what he's got to do, blah, blah, blah. Well, I guess the doctor didn't look through everything. He just said, oh, okay, well, I'm going to pass you. Which, in reality, I should have just said whatever. I should have kept my mouth shut, but at the same time, I'm kind of glad I didn't. And I'll get back to that in a minute. Anyway, so what I was saying was, he's like, all right, well, I'm going to sign off past you. Well, then my infinite wisdom kicked in, and I was like, hey, what's it called? So, cool, thanks, I passed. All right, now, what do I do about lowering my protein? And he goes, oh, your protein levels are still high. Okay, well, sorry, that means I can't pass you. So, I sort of shot myself in the foot with that one. But, at the same time, I'm kind of glad I didn't, because from what I've heard, driving for Western Express isn't as all cracked up it is to be, whatever. I can't words because, I'm a truck driver. I'm not paid to do any of that shit. But anyways, moving on. So I failed. And they said, well, with that being said, mind you, I did all this at about 10:30. Like, okay, well, with that being said, you're going to have to go back to the hotel. We're going to send you home. So I'm like, all right, that sucks. Stuff happens. I wasn't going to get mad. When they said we're going to send you home, I'm thinking they were either going to A, reimburse me for what I paid for my, expenses to get up there so that I can then re-rent a car, or B, they're going to give me a ticket to get on the Greyhound and head back to Arizona. No, that, boy, was I sorely mistaken. So, thank God and whatever the hell else y'all believe in, that there was one guy there that actually had a little bit of sympathy for me and was like, that's messed up, because it was. He got running and everything, and he was waiting for the truck, or his truck, to get sorted out. I don't know, he was waiting for something, so that all he had to do was hop in, take off, start driving and working. Well, he's like, well, I'm doing all that, you can stay in my hotel room. Now, the reason he did that was because, basically, like I said, this all happened at 11 or 10:30. I got back to the hotel at 11. I get a call from the front desk in the room going, hey, I'd like to speak to, that fat guy that's wearing the Spider-Man hat. Anyways, whatever. I was like, yeah, that's me. So they're like, well, they told us that you are, that you're going to be checking out of the hotel at 12. And I'm thinking to myself, wait, what the hell? What? So I quickly called my recruiter, because I already called him to let him know what happened about the whole failing of the protein test twice. Now, I've been keeping in touch with him basically the whole time I was there, because he's been wanting to keep me up to date on, or he's been keeping me up to date on how to get, like, with my DAC report and all that other stuff, and I've been keeping him up to date on everything else. Well, he said he was going to try and fight for me to stay another night in the hotel so that I can come up with some money. Because this happened on a Wednesday. Had it happened on a Thursday, I just said, screw it. I'll try and see if I can get, another night in the hotel, and then I'll just go ahead and wait for the last job I had to give me my last paycheck, and then I'll use that money to get myself home. That's not how that worked. When they said I was out, I was out. So, yeah. Anyways, so I went ahead and I basically said, screw it, whatever. So I got in touch with my sister, and I was like, hey, dude, what the heck? What am I going to do? So she's like, well, I'll forward you some money, da-da-da-da-da. Long story short on that one, I had just enough money to buy a $75 ticket for the Greyhound and afford the almost $20-something Lyft ride to the Greyhound station. Now, mind you, I got to the Greyhound station at about 3:30, 4 o'clock. My Greyhound wasn't leaving till almost 9 in the evening. I made it back to Arizona at roughly 2, 3 in the morning. But anyways, I had just enough money to get the Greyhound ticket, get the lift to the Greyhound station. Then once I got into Arizona, get another lift to my sister's apartment where my car was parked. And then from there, I was going to drive up to my dad and my stepmom's house and kind of hang out there for a couple of nights, regroup, and tackle it the next day. I got back to Arizona, did all my stuff, and which is kind of funny is I didn't mention this part. Warner, my driver manager, because when I left, I was actually working for a owner-operator that ran freight for Warner. So technically I had a Warner badge, Warner, basically everything Warner, except a different company was paying giving me a paycheck. It didn't matter either way. I was considered an owner-operator, but I didn't actually become an owner-operator. That's for something way down the line, if at all. But anyway, so I did that, and he called me and he's like, hey man, I want you to come back. And I was like, you know what, I'm thinking to myself, I don't think they'll let me come back. I was afraid that they were going to say no. He called me and said, you know, oh yeah, no, I didn't know you quit, my bad, okay, I forgot, whatever. So I was like, crap, now I feel like a jerk because he, you know, all that. Well, anyways, when I got back into Arizona, it was on a when I got back into Arizona, I called late in the day on Thursday because I basically slept all day because I was sleeping on the Greyhound, but I wasn't gonna let myself sleep too heavily because, yeah. So, anyways, I got a hold of my driver manager. I was like, you know what? I'm just gonna call and find out because I tried to go through Martin Transportation, and they were getting everything ready. They're getting everything sorted. They're doing all that, and they're like, yeah, we're gonna go ahead and we'll get you hired soon because I wanted to find a job yesterday. Well, I'm not mad at him, but I'm kind of bummed because I wasted all of his time and energy doing all this to get over to Martin, just for them to be like, oh yeah, sorry, unfortunately you need 6 months straight with one company. So I was like, okay, crap, that ain't gonna happen. And I wasn't gonna start job hopping after 6 or 7 months. So I was like, you know, whatever. I'm gonna bite the bullet. I'm going to grit my teeth, swallow my pride, whatever you want to call it, and just call back my driver manager. So I called back. He wasn't, he was there, but my fleet manager wasn't. So I called back and I was like, hey, man, I, got tore up and some stuff. What will it do to come back? What will it take for me to come back to Warner? And he's like, we technically don't even have you as quitting. We have you as on a temporary leave until further notice. So technically, I was still part of Warner. Well, technically, I was still part of the other company that I worked for, but I didn't want to work for that owner-operator company. That's a whole different other story that I'll say in a different video, because nothing against the company. They taught me a lot. I made really good money out of it, but I couldn't do that again with that company. Anyways, moving on. So I was like, well, I want to go back to Warner, but I want to work solely for Warner. I don't want to be there, that. I just want to be a Warner employee. So he goes, okay, cool. Call him back tomorrow around 7 a.m. Arizona time, which would have been, I don't remember what time in Nevada. So I called, and he's like, hey, this is what's going to happen. How quick can you get down to the terminal? And I was like, well, I'm like an hour 45 minutes away. He goes, okay, get back to the terminal. We'll put you in orientation. We'll get you started. Basically, that Friday, I was up, running, had a truck, I didn't have a badge, didn't have a fuel card. That too is another video. That was a fiasco. Wow, that's all I can say. Anyways, had a truck, had a job, starting to get a paycheck. And I saw somebody say, oh yeah, well, I was on Facebook again. I looked through Facebook and I saw Western Express advertising, and I don't know. If you want to work for them, that's you. Some people have had a tremendous, just amazing time working for Western Express. Basically praising them up and down, left and right, sideways, backwards, all that, you know, they're the best company they've ever worked for. And that's awesome. That's fine. I have no issue with that. But in my opinion, this is my opinion, each person has a different experience with a company. Doesn't matter whether it's trucking, doesn't matter whether it's whatever. For example, I know a guy that works at Walmart. Me, personally, I couldn't do Walmart because, yes, I know it's terrible, I hate to say it, but I associate Walmart employees, dingy, grungy, whatever you want to call it. Nothing against the person, just I couldn't work for Walmart because I didn't want to do the minimum wage. Him, he's basically, from what I've seen, he's basically two tiers lower than a CEO or whatever. He's basically really high in the company, but he's also been there for like a long time. So again, it's each experience is different, but I wanted to get this video out there to everybody that's thinking of working for Western Express. Now, don't go on my account saying, oh, Western Express is crap. But I wanted to share to you an honest opinion of what I went through. Now, am I mad at my recruiter? No. Yes, he did promise me the sun, moon, and the stars, but I mean, that's a recruiter. The recruiter's job is to get you into the door and get you into the seat. Oh no, actually, their job is basically just to get you in the door, and then once you're in the door, the orientation trainers are there to get you into the seat. Sometimes you don't get in the seat, like my case. And sometimes you do. But yeah, so all I'm saying is take this video with a grain of salt. Do with it what you will. Whether you want to work for Western Express, whether you don't want to work for Western Express, that's on you. But just know, this is my experience with them. Will I ever work for Western Express? No. I'd rather jump 6 stories out of a burning building head first into a bed of spikes. A little over dramatic, but you get screwed over, and it's kind of, I mean, they left me in the hole for basically a good 2 weeks until I got a decent paycheck through the company, well, through Warner, after driving for a few weeks. They left me in the hole, and I basically had to scramble to pay my bills, feed myself, clothe myself, do all that. So, yeah. But again, take this as you will. Do with it what you want. Until then, have a good rest of your day, guys. Remember, keep the rubber side down, the shiny side up, and hey, the force is going to be with you always.